I declare the meeting open and welcome you to this month's meeting of Council. The recording of this Council meeting will be available to the public on Council's website for a minimum period of 6 months. In accordance with Council policy, I will now ask the Council staff to confirm that the recording has commenced. Thanks, Michael. So I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the South East Nation, the Malacadee people of the Yorn River and the Linawani people of the far south. We recognise their continuing connection to land, water and culture, and we pay respect to their elders past, present and emerging. We have in attendance tonight, we have Councillor Newell, we have Acting Deputy Mayor Clark, we have Councillor Lovell, Councillor Prince and Councillor O'May. General Manager, would you like to introduce your staff, please?
Yes, thanks you, Acting Mayor. We have Director, People and Organisational Services, David Spinks, Director, Infrastructure, Climate and Environmental Services, Lockie Krantz, Director, Governance, Strategy and Sustainable Development, Matthew Grimsey, the ITC Officer, Matthew Glazer, and his Executive Assistant, Sue B.
Thank you. So, we don't have any apologies, leave of absence or absent. Declaration of interest. I have a declaration of interest on number 9.017/22, and Councillor Newell, I have one here for the same 9.017/22, which is the petition regarding breaches of the Code of Conduct. So, number 4, confirmation of minutes, 4.010/22. Do I have a councillor to move the minutes as are confirmed for the ordinary meeting of Council on Wednesday the 28th of September as circulated be confirmed? Councillor Lovell and Councillor O'May. Do any councillors wish to report any changes? No? So all those in favour, please raise your hand. That's all present. And the motion is carried. Number 5, legislative items, 5.002/22. There is
No,
nil.
Acting Mayor.
Urgent matters.
No, Acting Mayor.
Thank you. 7 announcements. Is there any councillor that would like to make an announcement? Yes. Would you like to turn on your... Yep, thank you.
Thank you, Acting Mayor. Just a brief one. I would like to say, as this is my last time sitting at the council table, I would like to take the opportunity to thank the General Manager and the staff for the work that they do, and I would like to wish them all the best with the incoming new council when they're elected. I'd also like to thank my fellow councillors for their dedication over the past 4 years. It's been an absolute honour and a privilege to work with you all. It's been a rough ride, but you've stayed the distance and under extreme pressure at times, and I would like to wish you all the best in the future. And I would especially like to congratulate Acting Mayor Doyle for the way she has handled her position when taking on the Mayor's role, and I wish her all the best in the coming election. And thank you.
Thank you very much, Sue. Any other councillor? No? Yes, Councillor Prince.
Thank you, Acting Mayor. Not dissimilar to Councillor Clark, as this is going to be my last council meeting, I'd just like to say thank you to a few people, if that's all right.
That's fine.
Firstly, I'd like to thank my beautiful wife, Beth, and our 2 boys. And sorry if I get emotional, by the way, it's a chance it'll happen. But yeah, thank you so much for your support throughout the last 4 years. It's been awesome and I really appreciate it. And there's no way I could have done this for more than a month without you guys, so thanks so much. Names won't mean anything to anyone here, but to Reese, James, Josh and Jack, thanks for helping me stay human over the last 4 years. It's really appreciated. To the staff, I don't like doing names, but I will do a few names these are the directors, Len, Luke, Beck, Wombat, David, Matt and Lockie. Thank you so much for enduring countless emails from me over the years. It's been appreciated and I'm sure it hasn't eased any of your workloads at all. So I really appreciate that. Also, a special thank you, I know she's not here tonight, but to Sandy Rustell. You are worth your weight in gold and then some. The help you have provided, I'm sure every councillor here, is just astronomical. You just bend over backwards so often to help people, and it's really appreciated. My dad. I don't know how you got me interested in council and politics. I don't know why you did it, but thanks, I guess. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's been a journey together, I think, in a lot of ways, and I'm happy and sad to see it end. The people that voted for me, no idea why you did it. Still not sure who exactly you were, but I really appreciate it, and I hope to those people that, you know, I did what you thought I would, or I did right by you. So thank you so much. To former General Manager Emilio Rogue Reale, I appreciate the time you put in here. And to the current General Manager, Jason, I know you've got a real challenge in front of you in a lot of regards, but I think you can do it. I think it's possible. It's going to be a lot of hard work, but from what I've seen, there's potential there, mate. So do your best, see what happens. I think you can do it. And finally, to the councillors that I've served with, I thought I'd take the time just to individually thank those that are here and the 4 that aren't, well, that are here but aren't with us anymore. So starting with Beck Enders, I really appreciate the time you took for the conversations we had over the years. You always gave me the time of day to talk about whatever I wanted to talk about, and I was always really grateful for that. Paul Gibson, thank you so much for helping me with understanding planning. I still don't think I've got a planning brain, but I appreciate the time you put in with that. Christine Campbell, thanks for just being just a kind, caring person to me. I've got some pretty treasured memories of laying a wreath with you on Remembrance Day down at Cygnet, and I think I'll hold that dear for a long time. Mike Wilson, if you're listening somewhere, you're right, it does get in your blood. Yeah, I appreciate that when my boy was very sick in the hospital, you were pretty quick to offer me any sort of help that I needed. Mark, thanks so much, mate. You have been entertaining, but also incredibly wise, and I really appreciate a lot of what you have to say. Mick, you speak your mind, and that is no bad thing. Sometimes I'm sure it gets you in a little bit of strife, but I'd hate to see a world where you could be in a room where people weren't confident enough to speak their mind. Thank you. Sue, I wish I could have spent more time getting to know you, to be honest. You seem to have a really good brain for the operational side of being a councillor, and I would have loved to learn that from you a lot sooner. So thank you so much. Acting Mayor Doyle, thank you for always humouring me, always having that positive attitude, and just being a friend, I think. I appreciate it. Still don't fully understand the point of a facsimile, but yeah, I'm glad you've enjoyed me on that one. And finally, Joanne, you might be one of the most impressive people I've ever met. I'd say politically you and I don't agree on a lot, but as a human, you are just amazing. Unbelievable. Anyone who doesn't see that is blind, because you, to put yourself forward like you do every time and do what you think is right is just incredible. Your courage, unbelievable, and I hope a lot of young people out there get to know who you are and look up to you the same way I do. Thank you.
Well done. Thank you, Rob. Anybody else? Yes, Mark?
Thank you, Mayor. I don't think I can rival that speech there, Rob. That was very much from the heart, and I understand exactly where you're coming from. And I too would like to thank my fellow councillors for the ride. It's been a bumpy one at times, but we've soldiered on and tried our hardest, and I think some things go your way and some things don't, but at the end of the day, all we can do is present and give it our all. So I really, thank my fellow members present and past, and also the staff. There's the staff in this building try so hard. You've underlined a few, and I will take one name out of the hat, being Sandy there that you mentioned. Rob, she's in everything and absolute lovely lady and tries very hard, but in saying that, not taking anything away from the rest of the staff that persevere very hard. And I've had the pleasure of Rebecca Bell on the Emergency Committee and the Marine Facilities Committee. Commitment to the cause and to work is second to none. And I also would like to thank whomever had voted for me and entrusted me to be able to represent them in the community. It's been a difficult process with the bushfires 4 years ago and the floods that we've endured over the last couple of years, and some controversial issues. But at the end of the day, I think we're all stronger for the process. We've all made errors in judgment, and we've made good judgment. And as a whole, I think we've held ourselves together as best we possibly could. And I'd just like to say thank you very much for being entrusting and, I believe, representing the community to the best of our ability that we could have at the time. That's all I've got to say. Thanks.
Thank you. Well, I'd just like to say, Mark, I will say that I have heard from the Marine Committee, and I know that they're going to try and get you to come on as a person in the community, because I know they valued your input into that committee. I'd like to also wish everyone that has stood in the elections all the best of luck, as I believe anyone that stands for council has the best interest of the valley at heart. I'd also like to just put a notice out there that the councillors have agreed, and we are sending a letter to Taswater today, just to let them know about the feedback that we've been receiving from the community on the Outfall project through Shipwrights Point. So we're asking them to consider all the other alternatives, and yes, so we're writing to encourage them to do that. So that will happen today. Okay, that's everyone. Yep, you right, Jay. Okay, public question time, 8.1.1. There were 2 questions taken on notice at the September meeting from Kathy Temby and Peter Graham. The answers are included in the paperwork and can be found on the website and have been included in the minutes. (8.1.2), there was no questions on notice, and 8.1.3, there was no questions without notice. Okay, so we're to the gallery now. So to those community members joining us in the gallery tonight who would like to ask a question, there is the instructions that I think were on your seat. Is that correct, Sue? Oh, well, I'll read it out just in case. We are always looking to continuously improve the way we do things and to achieve maximum benefit for the community with public question time. We have made some recent changes. The number of questions received prior to council meetings have been ranging from 6 to 25. These responses are uploaded. I think we've already know that there, don't we? Look, I think that if you have a question, as the chair, I will ask you to come forward to the microphone and identify yourself by area where you live. To make things fair and equitable, we have a limit of 2 questions per person. If you can ask your first question, and then we'll let the others have a go, and we'll come back around to you if time permits. We normally allocate 15 minutes for question time. All questions asked must be directed to me as the chairperson, and I will either answer the question, refer the question to another councillor or the general manager. Every attempt will be made to provide an answer to your question. Debate on questions cannot be entered into, and the council cannot make decisions on issues that arise in public question time. Is there anyone that would like to come forward and ask a question? Yes, Kathy, would you like to come forward?
Hello, Kathy Timby from Lucaston, and first of all, I'd like to say thank you very much to all of the councillors and acting mayor for your service to the community. Sincerely appreciate it. So there was a media release on the 21st of October stating specific measures and key performance indicators will be built into the next performance agreement to enable the council to objectively measure performance in the next review period of the General Manager. What were the measures and key performance indicators built into the original contract, if any? When will these new measures and indicators be built and by whom? And in the Huon Valley Council media release on the 17th of March 2022, the then Mayor, Beck Enders, stated the General Manager Performance Review Panel will meet monthly with Mr Brown and report to the full council on a regular basis through closed sessions. Did this happen, and can the public be informed of just broadly the outcomes and process of those meetings?
Wow, that's a big lot of things to answer. Okay, thanks, Kathy. If you'd like to take a seat, I'll do the best I can with that. We have met according to what was set out in the plan. We have met those deadlines. There was some that were reportable. Can you help me with this, Acting Mayor? Yep.
Acting Mayor, we had informal meetings
That's
every
right.
month.
Yep.
And then we had formal meetings at the next
That's right.
council
Yep,
meeting.
That's correct. So we had Stephen Blackadder was the facilitator at the end of our process. The decisions that we made were always brought back to full council in closed on the things that we needed to have in closed council. Any of the other that has been made available would have been talked about in open, Kathy. So I'm not sure quite what you're wanting from us, more than what we can or can't give.
So were there key performance indicators built into the original contract? And
Yes.
Who's going to do the new measures and the new performance? Will that be the next council?
Yes, that's
Yeah,
correct. Yes,
yeah.
that's right. We have the full the general manager's committee. God, I'm lost for words now. Committee worked through the KPIs, and that's how we made our decision. And we worked with Stephen Blackadder, the facilitator, and we came up with what we have now. And yes, and then the new ones will be in the new council. Is that all that you require from that? Okay, thank you. Yes, Mr. Swan.
Jeffrey Swan from Lonavale.
Yes.
My questions for yourself, please, Acting Mayor. Further to what Ms Temby just said, on Friday last week, the media release regarding the General Manager's Recruitment Performance Review was released and suggested a 6.5% increase on his performance in the last 12 months. This was, it was stated in your review that it was a satisfactory score of 6 out of 10 for
That's
Mr
correct.
Brown.
Yep.
You're aware I've spoken to Mr Blackadder in the last 24 hours. I'm aware that there was a 360-degree survey of up to 12 staff and people around Mr Brown, and it is my advice that the scores were below 5 out of 10, by all of those people. My question is, why then did you award a 6 out of 10 for Mr Brown's performance?
Well, I don't know where you got your information from, Mr Swan, because that's not been made. None of that.
I have that information.
Well, that's
Is it
you've
incorrect?
gained that.
Is it incorrect, is it?
I'm not saying it's incorrect. What I'm telling you is that was not public information. The score that we gave came back to council and was a full council decision to do what we did. Now, Stephen Blackadder, I gained advice today, and I think his last reply to you was that he works for us, not for you, and that no more information was to be given to you concerning anything to do.
I understand that.
Yes, all right?
But I have information at below 5.
I'm just saying that that has been obtained in a proper way. Inappropriately. So I'm not going to talk to you about information that you shouldn't have. So I'm sorry about that. But the 6.10 was a satisfactory, which we all decided on, and end of story. So thank you.
When the new council comes on board, will they have access to all those paperwork, please? I presume they will.
Oh, if they're on the General Managers Committee, yes, they will.
Thank you.
Okay, yes, Mr. Pat.
Good evening.
Hi.
Pat Singh from Lymington, asking a question on behalf of the Huon Valley Residents and Ratepayers Association. It's about the draft annual report. It's presented to this meeting. It appears to contain a number of factual errors, duplications of information, contradictions and omissions. A few examples. The report says that there were 20 council meetings and 30 workshops in 21-22. Councillor Clark reportedly attended all 20 meetings and 23 of the workshops, despite only having been on council for the last 3 months of the reporting period. Councillor Newell reportedly attended all the meetings, despite not having been at least 3. In her message, Acting Mayor Sally Doyle doesn't mention the Code of Conduct panel determined that she and Councillor Newell had brought council and the office of councillor into disrepute, and were also found to have treated people unfairly. Nor does she mention the public apology she told the Code of Conduct panel she had made on more than one occasion. In the committee membership report, it seems that no one was actually chair of the General Manager recruitment panel. In the annual plan performance report, there are numerous duplications of information. Legal and governance services apparently does the same thing over and over, though this is probably a typo. Strategic land use planning is reported as having been completed. I'll leave that there. Under waste management, developing and implementing a community education program to encourage waste minimisation is noted as being not completed on page 42, and then on page 51, the same item is completed. These are just a few examples. So our question is in 2 parts. Given that there are such obvious errors and omissions in this report, do you consider that the community should consider it as being a true and accurate record? And, considering that there have been 4 months to prepare this draft annual report, why did the General Manager present such a flawed document?
Thank you. Would you like, I can answer my bit of it to start with, my piece. It's up to me to write how I choose to write my story.
Absolutely.
So I'm happy with what I have wrote. And so do we take the rest on notice? Yeah. Okay, so sorry, we'll just have
You'll
to take
the
that
rest
on
on
notice.
notice? Fine.
Is that
Very good.
okay? Thank you.
Of course.
No worries. Thank you. Okay, any other questions? Yes. Thank you.
Paul Gibson from Lymington.
Thank you.
I just had a question about caretaker mode and the decision to increase the general manager's contract by 6.5% and whether that was done in caretaker mode and whether that's appropriate or not.
That was that was not part of the caretaker mode. That was an action that we had that we can take. Is that correct? Yes. That was not part of the caretaker. Didn't fall under caretaker mode.
It was not done in caretaker mode, or it doesn't?
It doesn't fall in that an item for the caretaker mode.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Yes? Oh, Amy. Oh, yeah. Amy, yes?
Amy Robertson from Port Huon.
Thank you.
I note you've submitted a request to the TPC for withdrawal of the draft LPS, and I expect that's quite an unusual process. Any indication on timing or update on timeframes around that, please?
Okay, can I pass that through to you, the General Manager?
To the Director.
Yep, thank you.
Thanks for the question, Amy. No update yet on when we can expect that. It's unprecedented. It hasn't happened in the state. Our last discussion with the State Planning Office was there seeking a legal opinion on what they can and should do next.
Thank you. Yes, Dr. Smith.
Thank you, Liz Smith, Insignet. This is a question for you, Acting Mayor Doyle.
Thank you.
According to the Local Government Act, Section 49, having an interest states a councillor or member has an interest in the matter if the councillor or member or a close associate would, if the matter were decided on in a particular matter, receive, have an expectation of receiving, or be likely to receive a pecuniary benefit or pecuniary detriment. At the September meeting, both you, Councillor Doyle, and Councillor Newell declared an interest in 2 petitions, so there was no quorum. The petitions were then combined and they're on the agenda for this meeting. And again, there's no quorum. So my question is, did you have a pecuniary interest in September because you were standing for re-election? And if the matter were decided in a particular manner, you would have had an expectation of receiving or being likely to receive a pecuniary benefit or pecuniary detriment. And now that voting is virtually over, do you still have a pecuniary interest in the motions that are on the agenda as numbers 9.01722?
Thank you for that question. I'll have to seek advice on that one. I'm sorry. I'll have to get back to you with that one. Thank you. Yes, Jeffrey Swan.
Thank you. Jeffrey Swan, Lonavale again. Back to the General Manager's performance review. On the 28th of September, that review was undertaken, is my understanding. Why did it take 3 weeks for a media release to come out? And did that have anything to do with the fact of the election timing, please, Mayor, Acting Mayor?
Thank you. No, that had nothing to do with that. There was no time frame for us to release that. It was done in a timely manner. I'm sorry, but no, it was not done for any reason other than...
But you do agree 3 weeks is a long time for a media release from an action that Council has taken?
No, not necessarily. We don't have a time frame.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay. Oh, yes, Amy, one more. Yep. Thank you.
Amy Robertson, Port Huon. Thanks for letting us know that Council's written to Taswater around the Shipwrights Point sewage outfall.
Yep.
Could you give the community an idea of whether Council will participate in the meeting Taswater are holding on Wednesday evening, and also whether there are any activities anticipated in terms of discussion between Council and Taswater?
Thanks, Amy. No, there's not. This is a Taswater. It's not a council issue. It's a Taswater issue. We're sending the letter because we have heard and we know that people are wanting to make sure that they're being heard and that the other processes are being looked at. But as far as us being as council at the meeting, I'm gathering, no, Amy, they'll come back to us with anything that they want to know from us. But no, we won't be participating as council. Okay, thank you. All right, how long has that been? Yep, okay, thank you. Thanks for that. All right, so 9.017/22, petitions regarding breaches of code of conduct. I have come to agenda item 9.017/22. Councillor Newell and I have declared interest in this agenda item. This would leave the meeting without a quorum of the required 5 councillors. Regulation 11-6 of the Local Government Meeting Procedures Regulation 2015 provides that if at any time during a meeting the required quorum is no longer present, the chairperson is to adjourn the meeting until the quorum is present or until a later date, unless the quorum is likely to be present for the next item of business. So we're just moving on. We're not voting. We're moving on. Is that correct? Yes, thank you. 9.018/22, request for speed limit reduction, Pelverada Road, Pelverada. Do I have a councillor to move the, after I refer you to the recommendation, do I have a councillor to move a motion? Yes, Councillor O'May, and a seconder, Councillor Prince. Councillor O'May, do you wish to speak to the motion? You got yours? Yep, thank you.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I've considered this topic, and being a regular user of this road at times, my tractor mechanic lives up there at Goodwin's Road. I'm pretty familiar with the road, and personally I really see it difficult to be able to drive over 60 kilometres an hour anyway. So I really think it is of my view that here our recommendation that we leave this issue to the Department of State Growth to be able to investigate further, and I believe it's those guys that really should be making this decision, as apart from this council. On saying that, I also believe that if there's any deterrence that we can put on this road for driver behaviour and to be able to make the road safer, I certainly believe we should pursue. But it just bothers me that it's more of a policing issue in some cases. Some of the people that are going to be doing the wrong thing here are going to do the wrong thing regardless of what signs we put up there. So
Yep.
I think there's a lot of different areas that the council can be putting their positive energy into as regards to this, when State Growth really should be determining the decision.
Okay.
That's all I have to say. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. So yes, you'd like to, yep, speak for. Thank you.
Through you, I just have a question. Does State Growth take our information, or do they come and do their own?
Can I ask that through the director? Thank you.
They take our, advice, our recommendation, and they make their own appraisal. I don't know what the detail of that appraisal would be, but there's significant weight given to the work and the recommendation that we provide.
Okay. Are there any councillors to speak against the motion? Do you want to close? Councillor O'May?
I think I've said enough there. Thanks, Mayor. I think,
Thank you.
as I said, dot point C is the most relevant in my view, and it's been well thought out.
Thank you.
And congratulate staff for doing so.
Okay, thanks. So I'll put the motion. Those in favour, please raise your hand. That's all councillors, and the motion was carried. No planning reports. Neil? General reports. The committee minutes have been checked by the committee chair and have been distributed for committee members. Minutes remain as drafts and unconfirmed until their next meeting. Do I have any councillors to table their activities? Oh, well done. Thank you. Do you wish to speak to those? No, thank you. Okay. I refer the councillors to the recommendation. Do I have a councillor to move a motion that the general reports and minutes for the period of 1st to the 30th of September 22 be received and noted? Councillor Clark, seconded. Councillor Lovell. Do you wish to? No? Do you wish to? Okay. Are there any questions? Nope. All those in favour then, please raise your hand. All those in favour? Pass. Its motion is carried. Workshops. Would you like to speak to workshops?
Yes, thanks, Acting Mayor. So we had, we had two items on the 21st of September. The first one was the Shipwrights Point jetty replacement. The Director of Infrastructure, Climate and Environmental Services and Manager Recreation Services provided a brief presentation and led a discussion to give background information prior to the report going to the September Council meeting. And then subsequently we had the quarterly revisit of organisational priorities, priority projects, community interest projects, where I led a discussion on progress for organisational priorities along with the directors. Thank you, Acting Mayor.
Thank you. Okay. Number 13.1, questions taken on notice. There's Neil. 13.2, questions without notice. Do any councillors wish to ask a question? Yes, Councillor Clark.
Thank you, Acting Mayor. I just have a brief question through the General Manager to Director of Infrastructure. Can we please have an update on what is happening with the fenced area next to the hub here in Huonville? Because I recall there was lack of funding, may have been an issue, but I would like to see that area reconstituted as soon as possible, as it is in the centre of the town. And do we have any surplus funds to be able to be allocated? If you could give me an update, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for the question, Councillor Clark. I've last week worked with the team in Community Wellbeing who've been running that project to understand where they're at with their budget and what's remaining to be done. Yes, there are budget constraints. Project costs have increased, and we're looking at how we can complete that project as quickly as possible and as close to keeping with the original plan as we possibly can. So I expect we'll have that, have a decision made this week, and once we decide that way forward, it's a relatively simple matter to get the job complete. At this stage, we're still on track for that completion in December this year.
Thank you.
No other questions? Yes, Councillor O'May.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I just want to ask a question in form of strategy for the new incoming council. If we can have some formal direction out of this meeting in regards to litter and waste. I have had so many people calling me, complaining and disenchanted with our waste transfer station and the fee increases. And my observations in my area that people are dumping stuff, and I just think that it should be a topic that should continue well and truly into the next council and be pulled to pieces and put back together in a way which the public has some form of confidence and ability to have some pride in their valley and not be enticed to dump rubbish and do the right thing and be able to be happy with, or relatively happy with, their decision making, because at the moment a large portion of the community are not.
Thank you, Councillor O'May. I'll make a comment before I pass it over. I don't necessarily agree with what you've just said. I believe that the staff in that area have done a marvellous job, but there's always room for improvement, I gather, but I shall pass that over to Director, if I may. Is that? Yep, thank you.
Thanks for the question, Councillor O'May. Look, this is another area of council that I think has suffered from a lack of investment over many, many years. And what we've seen in this current budget is a reflection of the user pays, true user pays, the cost to remove waste from the valley. There's significant transshipment to landfill, but we've also seen a new mode of business thinking into this area, as evidenced by the first of those being the change in processing for green waste, which demonstrated significant savings, but also demonstrates the capacity to retain organic matter in the valley, where there's a demand for organic matter in the valley. Myself and the team are absolutely committed to working with the new councillors to come in and continue to view waste as an opportunity, not just garbage to get rid of and ship out at ever-increasing costs. The costs we're experiencing at the moment are user pays, and they also reflect the state government's waste levy that was introduced this year and is going to continue to go up year on year. So waste is only heading in one direction. We need to think about it smarter. The waste team have a number of ideas that really are really quite innovative, and I'm really looking forward to demonstrating those more to the incoming councillors and making some decisions about ongoing investment and how we balance that with keeping costs down as tipping fees for ratepayers.
Thank you. Yes, Councillor.
Yes, Mayor, I'm sorry. My comments were most certainly not made in any way or form in relation to our staff. They're purely in relation to strategy and how we move into the next part of the century with our strategy and what we do with our waste.
Yeah.
I absolutely had no reference to our staff. I know everybody's doing the best that they can.
Yep.
But being involved in the circular economy workshops that we've had,
Yep.
and the frustrations that we have to have from this valley where we've got to cut stuff to copying, and I know what the costs are. I'm not suggesting that there's been any fabrication. I just believe that we really should try hard to do better if we possibly can.
Yes.
That's all I was inferring there, man.
And that's exactly right. And as circular economy would say, reduce. We've got to reduce the amount of rubbish that we make ourselves. So it's up to the people to reduce what they do. So thank you.
Mayor. And
Thank
the more
you.
education we can give our students in schools and our younger people to move into that phase as we go on,
Thank you.
the community will benefit in the future.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to 13.3. No councillors' notice of motions? No. On to 15.028/22. Hence the word draft, I suppose, is our draft 21-22 annual plan. I refer councillors to the recommendation of this report. Do I have a councillor to move a motion? Councillor Newell, and a seconder. Councillor O'May, Councillor Newell. So, yep, okay. Is there any councillors speak against the motion? Is there any questions? Yes, Councillor Prince.
With the, I suppose it was well raised by Pat earlier through his questioning, this being a draft, with the things that like typos and number issues and stuff like that, will that be sort of looked at, fixed up and then read? Yeah, awesome.
Yep.
I'm seeing some nods in the background already. Awesome.
Thank you. Yep, thank you very much. Yep, any other questions? No? As there's no councillor speak against the motion, then I put the motion. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That's all councillors. And the motion is carried. Financial report 16.015/22. I refer the councillors to the recommendation of this report. Do I have a councillor to move a motion? Councillor Clark, seconder. Councillor Newell, Councillor Clark, do you wish to speak to this, to the motion?
No, Mayor.
Okay. Is there any councillors to speak against the motion? Nope. Any questions? No. Okay. As there's no councillor speak against the motion, I put the motion. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That's all councillors, and the motion is carried. Community Management Committee Annual General Meeting Nominations 2022, 18.002/22. I refer the councillors to the recommendation of this report. Do I have a councillor to move a motion? Councillor O'May, and a seconder? Councillor Newell. Councillor O'May, do you wish to speak to the motion?
I'd just like to congratulate all these people that work very hard in regards to these appointments. Without our volunteers and the people that put their hand up for these positions, the community would be very much at a loss. So my hat goes off to them, and congratulations
Thank
to
you.
all the nominees.
Thank you. Is there any councillor to speak against the motion? No? Yes, Councillor Lovey, you'd like to? No?
I just wanted to say thank you to all the Hall Management Committee members. Over the 4 years that I've been on council, I've noticed the momentum start to really push to get things happening in these halls. I feel like over our time it's been, if we don't use them, we're going to lose them. And so to see people actually really sitting down together and going, what can we do out of these halls? And they are actually coming up with amazing things. And I also just wanted to say thank you to councillors who were able to get along to the whole committee meetings. And a special thank you to you, Sally, because I know it's one of your big things and you really put in the effort to get to each of those, and I know each of those committees really, really appreciated it. It's really nice to be acknowledged for the work that they've been doing in their communities to bring people together, especially through COVID.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Thank you. Any other? No? I would just like to say that it has been a pleasure meeting all these people on these hall committees. And I know that Surges Bay were struggling and they had a barbecue on yesterday, and I think they've got 50 people there and have formed a new great committee. So that is really wonderful to see. Okay, so as there's no councillors speak against the motion, then I put the motion. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That's all councillors, and the motion is carried. So it's that time again to advise that council is about to go into closed. Thank you to the people who joined our gallery this evening and those who took the time to watch the meeting online. The next meeting of the Ordinary Council is Wednesday the 30th of November with a new council. So thank you everyone for attending. Thank you. Thanks, Malcolm.
Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.
All the
Thank
best
you.
whether you're running.
Thank you. We must, the recommendation 19.021/22 2022 is that the meeting now be closed to the public at pursuant to Regulation 15 of the Meeting Procedure Regulations to discuss the following matters: confirmation of minutes, general reports, closed council, director appointment to the Geefton Town Hall Controlling Authority, status report, outstanding accounts receivable. Do I have a councillor to move a motion? Councillor Lovell, and a seconder, Councillor Prince. I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That's all councillors. In accordance with the Huon Valley auto recording of the council meeting policy, recording of the open session of meeting ceased at. I'll adjourn the meeting